Your soulmate has been secretly imagining a future with you. What they see will change everything. My beloved child, something has quietly changed inside your soulmate, and the truth is far bigger than you realize. When they think about you now, they are no longer imagining one conversation, one meeting, or one beautiful moment. They are imagining a future. A real future. And what they see there has begun to change the way they feel about everything. Don't skip, because the most surprising part is not that they have been thinking about you, it is how far those thoughts have already gone. In their private moments, they have pictured what it would feel like to wake up knowing you are still part of their life. They have imagined ordinary days becoming meaningful simply because you are there. They have wondered what your laughter would sound like years from now, what dreams you could build together, and what kind of person they would become if they finally stopped hiding what their heart keeps showing them. But there is one particular vision they cannot forget. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you, and this one thought may explain why their energy toward you has been changing. Here is where everything becomes deeper. Your soulmate has started imagining a version of their future where they finally choose what feels genuine instead of what looks easy. And every time they picture that future clearly, somehow you are standing inside it. That realization surprised them. They tried to dismiss it as another passing thought, but it returned. Again and again. They imagined reaching an important milestone and instinctively wanting you beside them. They imagined having wonderful news and wanting you to be the first person they tell. They pictured a quiet evening after a long day and realized the person they wanted to talk to was you. Don't skip, because this is where the secret becomes powerful. They are beginning to understand that what they want with you is not built only on excitement. They are imagining stability, closeness, trust, shared dreams, and a connection that keeps growing instead of disappearing. And that has forced them to confront a question they have avoided for a long time. What if you are not simply someone they were meant to meet? What if you are someone they were meant to build with? That question has stayed with them, because once they allowed themselves to imagine the answer, they saw something they were not prepared to see. And this is the vision that could change everything. They saw themselves finally becoming brave enough to stop leaving important feelings unspoken. They imagined looking back one day and realizing that the biggest turning point in their life began when they decided not to ignore this connection anymore. Something inside them is starting to understand that a future is created by choices, and one choice keeps appearing more clearly than all the others, the choice to move closer to you instead of continuing to wander from a distance. Stay till the end, because this story has only opened its first door. There is another detail inside the future they have been imagining, something strangely specific that keeps returning whenever they think about you. It involves a promise they have never spoken aloud, a decision they have not revealed, and one future moment they can already picture almost perfectly. Something huge is waiting for you, because when you discover what they secretly imagine happening in that moment, you will understand why these thoughts about you are becoming impossible for them to ignore. There is one scene your soulmate keeps returning to, and every time it appears in their mind, it feels more real than before. They see themselves sitting beside you after everything complicated has finally become simple, looking at you and realizing that all those unanswered questions somehow led to this moment. But here is what surprised them most: in this future, they are not trying to impress you anymore. They are simply themselves. They can speak freely, laugh without holding back, and tell you things they once kept locked inside. Don't skip, because there is a detail hidden inside this vision that changes the entire meaning of it. Your soulmate has secretly imagined telling you, "I almost let this future disappear because I was afraid to believe it could actually happen." And in that imagined moment, you do not turn away. You understand. That possibility has stayed in their thoughts longer than they expected. They have started wondering whether the connection between you was never meant to remain an unanswered question. Maybe everything that felt delayed was quietly preparing both of you for something more meaningful. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The future they see is becoming so detailed that even they are beginning to wonder why their mind keeps choosing you whenever they picture the life they truly want, but the biggest surprise is what happens next in their imagination. They picture an important day, a day when something they have worked toward finally becomes real. There are people around them, voices everywhere, happiness filling the moment, yet their eyes immediately search for one person. You. Not because everyone else suddenly becomes unimportant, but because they imagine wanting to share that moment with the person who understands what it took to reach it. And that realization has shaken something awake inside them. Don't skip. They have started noticing that whenever they imagine success, peace, celebration, or even the quietest ordinary day, you keep appearing naturally in the picture. They are no longer asking themselves, "Why am I thinking about this person?" They are beginning to ask, "Why does every future that feels right somehow include them?" That is a completely different question. It means their thoughts have moved beyond curiosity. Somewhere inside, they are exploring what it would mean to genuinely make space for you. And there is one choice they imagine making that they have never admitted to anyone. One choice that could finally turn all these private visions into something real. Now listen closely, because this is where the future they have been imagining takes its most unexpected turn. Your soulmate sees a moment when they finally stop waiting for the perfect circumstances. They imagine reaching out with honesty, not with a dramatic speech, not with complicated promises, but with something simple and sincere. They picture telling you that you have remained in their thoughts far longer than they ever expected, and that imagining life without ever discovering what this connection could become suddenly feels incomplete. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. There is still one part of this imagined future they have been keeping deepest inside themselves. It is not about one conversation. It is not even about one beautiful day. It is about the place they imagine you holding in their life years from now. And when that hidden picture becomes clear, everything you thought this connection meant may look completely different. What your soulmate sees years from now is the part they have been almost afraid to examine too closely, because this is no longer a temporary picture in their mind. They imagine looking around at a life that feels completely different from today and realizing you somehow became part of the moments that mattered most. Not as someone standing at the edge of their story, but as someone who knows the version of them that nobody else gets to see. Don't skip, because one particular thought keeps returning with surprising clarity. They imagine coming home after one of the biggest days of their life, carrying news they have waited years to receive, and before telling anyone else, they want to find you. They picture your reaction. They imagine your smile. They even imagine the exact feeling of finally being able to say, "We made it here." And that single word, "we," has been changing everything inside their imagination. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate is beginning to realize that when they picture their happiest future, they are no longer thinking only about what they could achieve. They are thinking about who they want beside them when those achievements finally arrive, but there is another side to this future that surprised them even more. They are not only imagining the extraordinary moments with you. They are imagining the ordinary ones. Quiet mornings. Long conversations when the world feels far away. Small celebrations nobody else would understand. Making plans together and watching those plans slowly become reality. They have even imagined looking at you years later and remembering how uncertain everything once seemed. Don't skip, because this is where their private vision becomes almost impossible for them to dismiss. In that future, they imagine saying something they have never been ready to say before. I knew there was something different about you long before I understood what it meant. And suddenly, pieces of the past begin making sense to them. Why certain memories of you stayed unusually vivid. Why your absence sometimes felt louder than expected. Why other distractions could occupy their attention but never completely erase the question of you. Something has been growing quietly beneath all those unanswered feelings, and now their imagination is showing them where it could lead. The shocking part is that they have started comparing this future with the path they are currently walking, and they can feel the difference. That difference is pushing them toward a realization they cannot keep avoiding forever. Your soulmate has begun wondering whether waiting indefinitely could become the one decision they regret most. They imagine two possible futures now. In one, they continue saying nothing, allowing time to move forward while always wondering what might have happened. In the other, they finally become honest and discover whether everything they have secretly pictured could have a beginning in the real world. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. There is one moment in that second future that stands above everything else they have imagined. It happens after they finally reveal what has been sitting inside their heart. They picture looking directly at you, hearing your response, and realizing that the future they thought existed only in their imagination may have been waiting for one courageous conversation to begin. But there is something they imagine telling you immediately before that moment, one sentence they have mentally repeated more than once. And that sentence reveals exactly what they are hoping this connection could become. The sentence they keep rehearsing inside their mind is surprisingly simple, yet it carries everything they have struggled to understand. I don't want to keep imagining this if there is a chance we could actually build it. That thought changes the entire story, because your soulmate is beginning to move from fantasy toward intention. Don't skip, because what happens inside their imagined future immediately after those words is even more revealing. They picture the silence between you becoming peaceful instead of uncertain. They imagine finally explaining why they held back, why they questioned themselves, and why thoughts of you kept returning even when they tried focusing elsewhere. But then they picture something completely unexpected, you telling them that some connections cannot be understood by rushing them. And suddenly, everything that once looked like delay begins to look like preparation. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They have secretly imagined making one decision after this conversation, a decision that would completely change the direction of your connection. Instead of disappearing back into uncertainty, they imagine choosing consistency. Showing up. Speaking clearly. Allowing their actions to finally match what they have been privately feeling. And there is something else they see that makes this future feel different from every passing dream they have ever had. They imagine both of you growing, not becoming perfect, but becoming stronger together. They picture encouraging your dreams while you encourage theirs. They imagine celebrating progress that nobody else notices and understanding the meaning behind the smallest victories. Don't skip, because this is where one once-in-a-lifetime realization enters their mind. Perhaps the future they want is not defined by one enormous event. Perhaps it is built through hundreds of small moments with the right person. That idea has completely changed what they notice about you. Things they once considered ordinary now carry meaning. Your way of thinking. Your presence. The emotional impression you leave behind. They are beginning to understand why their imagination keeps returning to you whenever they picture peace instead of temporary excitement. And somewhere inside that realization, another question has appeared. What if the person I have been looking for in my future has already crossed my path? That question refuses to disappear. Now the biggest shift begins. Your soulmate no longer imagines only what they would say to you, they imagine what they would do afterward. They picture proving through consistency that their words were real. They imagine creating memories that replace uncertainty with clarity and eventually looking back at this chapter as the moment everything started changing. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. There is still one future scene they have not allowed themselves to fully accept, because it feels more meaningful than everything that came before it. In this scene, years have passed. The questions are gone. The uncertainty is gone. Your soulmate looks at you and suddenly remembers the days when you were only a possibility they secretly imagined. And what they picture saying to you in that moment reveals the deepest reason they cannot get this future out of their mind. It is not about coincidence. It is not about perfection. It is about one realization they never expected to have, and once they finally admit it to themselves, they may never look at you the same way again. The realization they never expected is this: when your soulmate imagines the future that feels most meaningful, they do not see you changing into someone else to fit their life, they see themselves becoming ready to meet you there. That difference has shaken everything they once believed about this connection. Don't skip, because this is where their secret vision becomes more powerful. Years from now, they imagine looking at you and saying, "I used to wonder why I couldn't stop seeing you in my future. Now I understand." They picture remembering all the uncertainty, all the moments when they almost convinced themselves to ignore what they felt, and all those private thoughts they never shared with anyone. Yet in this imagined future, none of that uncertainty remains. What remains is the strange realization that the smallest choices created the biggest change. One honest conversation. One decision to stop hiding. One moment when they finally allowed possibility to become intention. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. There is another detail they have imagined that goes beyond everything you have heard so far. They have pictured a future moment when someone asks them a simple question about you, and the answer they imagine giving reveals exactly how deeply their idea of you has changed. In that scene, someone asks your soulmate, "When did you know this person mattered differently?" And suddenly, they cannot choose one moment. That is what surprises them. They imagine answering that it was not one dramatic event. It was the way thoughts of you kept returning during completely ordinary days. It was realizing they wanted to tell you things before anyone else. It was picturing achievements and noticing you standing somewhere inside those pictures. It was imagining difficult decisions and wondering what you would think. Don't skip, because then comes the answer they have never spoken aloud. I think part of me knew before I was ready to admit it. That sentence has enormous meaning for them. It suggests that their heart was quietly building a picture while their mind was still asking questions. And now those questions are changing. They are no longer wondering whether you made an impression. They know you did. They are wondering whether this connection deserves a real chance to become something greater than imagination. Something huge is waiting for you, because one particular future choice has started appearing more frequently than every other thought, and it involves your soulmate finally doing something they once believed they would never be brave enough to do. They imagine choosing a moment when there are no distractions and no complicated excuses left, looking directly at you and telling you the truth without hiding behind uncertainty. Not promising a perfect future. Not pretending to know every answer. Simply admitting, whenever I picture where I genuinely want my life to go, somehow I keep seeing you there. And in their imagination, saying those words feels like releasing something they have carried quietly for far too long. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate has begun realizing that the future they secretly imagine cannot remain a private story forever if they truly want to know whether it has a chance. And there is one final detail inside this vision that keeps pulling them forward. They have imagined your face immediately after hearing those words. They have imagined what you might say. They have imagined the possibility that you have been carrying questions of your own. But what happens next in their private vision is the most surprising part yet, because instead of imagining an ending, they see a beginning, and that beginning starts with a choice neither of you can make alone. Now the vision changes completely, because your soulmate no longer sees themselves standing alone at the doorway of this future, they see you making a choice too. And that is the part they cannot predict. The part that makes every imagined conversation feel unfinished. Don't skip, because their deepest question is no longer, do I want this person in my future? Somewhere inside, they already know the answer. Their real question has become, could they ever see that future with me too? That possibility has made everything feel more meaningful. They imagine telling you the truth and watching your expression change as you finally understand how long these thoughts have existed. They picture admitting that there were moments when they almost reached out differently, moments when they wanted to say more but stopped themselves because the timing never felt right. Yet something inside them keeps whispering that perfect timing may never simply arrive, it may have to be created through honesty. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. There is one future scene they keep imagining more clearly than all the others, and it begins immediately after you finally know everything. In that scene, there is no enormous celebration and no perfect movie-like moment, there is simply clarity. For the first time, neither of you has to wonder what the other person is thinking. Your soulmate imagines sitting with you and talking about dreams you have never discussed before, where you want life to take you, what truly matters to you, what kind of future would make you feel fulfilled. And then something surprising happens in their imagination. Instead of discovering that your dreams pull you apart, they begin noticing places where those dreams could fit together. Don't skip. This is the detail that keeps bringing them back to the same vision. They imagine realizing that choosing you would not mean abandoning who they are. It could mean building beside someone who inspires them to become more of who they were always meant to be. They picture you pursuing your purpose while they pursue theirs, yet somehow continuing to meet in the middle. Something huge is waiting for you, because this is where they finally understand why the future they imagine with you feels so different. It is not a future where one person disappears inside the other person's world. It is a future where two lives become stronger because they chose to walk forward together. And then comes the thought that changes everything. Your soulmate imagines reaching a point years from now when the uncertainty you feel today has become nothing more than an old memory. They picture looking back and almost smiling at how close they came to never discovering what was possible. They imagine turning toward you and saying, "Imagine if we had both stayed silent." That sentence stays with them because it reveals what they may truly be afraid of. Not the possibility of speaking, but the possibility of never speaking and always wondering. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Their secret future is beginning to create a decision in the present. The more clearly they picture you beside them, the harder it becomes to treat this connection like something that can simply be forgotten. And now there is one final question forming inside their mind, a question powerful enough to turn imagination into action. How much longer am I willing to wait before I find out whether the future I keep seeing could actually begin? The answer to that question is becoming clearer, and what they imagine doing when they finally accept it could change the entire direction of this story. Something inside your soulmate has reached a point where imagining is no longer enough. The future they kept safely inside their thoughts has started affecting the choices they want to make now, and that is the shift they never expected. Don't skip, because the next realization changes the meaning of everything you have heard. They have begun to understand that waiting for absolute certainty could mean waiting forever. So instead of asking whether every detail will work perfectly, they are asking a much more powerful question: is this connection important enough to discover what could happen? And whenever they answer that question privately, their thoughts return to you. They remember the future they imagined, the conversations, the shared victories, the quiet moments, the feeling of finally being understood without constantly explaining themselves. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate has pictured one specific moment when they finally stop protecting themselves with silence. They imagine approaching you differently, speaking with unusual clarity, and giving you something they have withheld for far too long, the complete truth about what they have secretly been seeing whenever they picture tomorrow. But here is the surprising part: they do not imagine beginning with a huge declaration. They imagine beginning with one honest sentence: "There's something about us I haven't been able to stop thinking about." And from there, everything they kept hidden begins coming forward. They imagine telling you that you have appeared in their thoughts during moments when they were making plans for their own future. They imagine admitting that they tried to understand why, only to discover that every answer led them toward the same possibility: you may represent something deeper in their life than they originally allowed themselves to believe. Don't skip, because there is another revelation beneath those words. Your soulmate is not only imagining what they could receive from this connection. They are thinking about what they could bring into your life too: encouragement, consistency, understanding, laughter, support, and someone who genuinely wants to see you become everything you are capable of becoming. That realization has transformed their private vision. They are no longer simply asking, "Could you make me happy?" They are asking, "Could we create something meaningful for each other?" Something huge is waiting for you, because that question leads directly to the most important scene they have imagined yet. In that final scene, your soulmate pictures the two of you standing much further into the future, remembering the moment when everything changed. And strangely, the turning point is not some enormous event. It is the day someone finally chose honesty over endless wondering. They imagine looking at you years later and realizing that the future once existed only as a quiet picture inside their mind, and then one choice gave that picture a chance to become real. Stay till the end, because something huge is